Hello and welcome to Southeastern 16. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Max Barr and Brian Edwards. Today, we are previewing fourth-seeded Texas A&M's game with Yale, seeded 13th in Denver, Colorado. You can catch that 6:25 Central Thursday night on TBS. The predictive computers have Texas A&M favored by about 10, but boy, this isn't the greatest matchup for the Aggies. Yale, of course, upset Auburn last year. James Jones, one of the better coaches at any level in the country. They got a star in John Poulikitis. They got other pieces. Max Barr. This is a fascinating matchup between Yale and Texas A&M.
Yeah, one thing making it fascinating is that Yale is actually ranking better in the predictives this year than they were last year when they beat Auburn. They last year they finished in KenPom 90th. That's even after a win against Auburn to help the analytics. Right now they're entering the tournament 73rd. This is a top 75 team right now with a top 60 offense. They're top 20 in turnover rate. It's the classic. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. But just off the jump, before I dove into the matchup at all, that was like, whoa, this team statistically ranking a good amount better than last year's.
Yeah, I'll point out that I'm concerned about their rebounding. Obviously, A&M, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. And so I pulled up the box score from the Auburn game last year, thinking, oh, they must have fared okay on the boards against Auburn, seeing how they won the game. Not so much. Auburn had a 34-20 advantage in rebounding. Yale just shot it a lot better from three, but Yale's just a way better shooting team than A&M. So, I mean, that same formula could pay dividends for them in this game, but I really worry about them rebounding, especially keeping A&M off the offensive boards. But Yale, like Max noted, really efficient team. Offensively, they average 82.2, number 20 in the country. Their 49.1 field goal percentage is ranked 10th. They're 13th in three-point accuracy, 38.5%. And they've got two seniors that are going to the tournament for the third time in 4 years, Bez Mbang and Poulikitis, and his first name is
John.
Thank you. Sorry. He was outstanding against Auburn last year, had 28 points. And this guy is an absolute stud who's going to cause a lot of problems for A&M. So there's my initial remarks on the matchup.
Max, I want to talk about some players in this game and just maybe where we see A&M too. For Yale, Poulikitis is a name that people know, a 6'6" lefty, high-scoring guy. They've got Nick Townsend, the 6'7", 250 guy, who also scores a lot too. They got Biz Mbang, as we talked about, the 2024 Ivy Defensive Player of the League. They got Samson Aleaton at 6'10", so they got some size and bulk, which you're going to want against A&M. I'm just going to ask you, to me, a lot of this is about the Aggies. Because, my goodness, the results have varied from week to week with this team the last couple years. We know about Wade Taylor, Farrell Payne. They've got a veteran roster. How are we feeling about A&M coming into this one?
I think any team playing Yale, any team playing the Ivy winner, you just raise your eyebrows a little bit just because of the Ivy League success. It doesn't matter who it is, what the matchup is. You're just like, oh, man, we got the Ivy champ. They usually do some damage. So, just that initially, I think everyone is like, where's the Ivy team and who are they playing? Let me see how that matchup is. I'm glad you mentioned Nick Townsend's weight because he's listed at 6'7".
Bully ball.
He is not a skinny 6'7". Yeah, Nick Townsend he's got some physicality to him. He can play the 4 or the 5 for him. He's kind of their Swiss Army knife that does a little bit of everything. And everyone remembers Poulikitis from last year, and the reason why I'm worried, especially for Poulikitis individually, just a few games ago, Texas A&M It was Auburn, Florida, Vanderbilt, Tennessee in a 4-game stretch. 4 games in a row. Todd Pettiford hit 6 3-pointers. Will Richard hit 6 3-pointers. Tyler Nickel hit 7 3-pointers. Chaz Lanier hit 8 3-pointers. They went through a 4-game stretch in a row of one sharpshooter from the other team that is not a fluke in the scout, would be recognized as a sharpshooter, still was able to find consistent success over 40 minutes. I'm worried about that because of how well Yale moves the ball, and we know Poulakidas is capable.
So how do you guys feel about fresh legs theory? In other words, A&M got bounced in the first game. And, if you're going to get bounced in the first game, make it a double overtime game where you get some extra cardio. And maybe you're not going to be too rusty. But, fresh legs, I'm just trying to paint a bright side for A&M coming out of that Texas game. So when was that game? Thursday? Was that Wednesday or Thursday? That was Thursday, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Thursday. So, they're well rested. And Yale played Sunday. So they've got several days of rest advantage on them. Another interesting stat, Buzz, I love Buzz. I'm not trying to pick on Buzz here, but in the first round of the tournament, the last 5 times, so we're talking about twice at A&M and 3 games at Vatech, 2 and 3 in first round games.
Yeah. Well, to the fresh legs theory, Yale last year went through the same scenario. For A&M, I think they're in such good shape regardless from the physical demands that, it won't hurt. I'll put it that way. My biggest concern is just the matchup. It's the rebounding that Yale has that is the strength of A&M. And to me, the Max 3-point stat you gave there was outstanding. But paint me a brighter picture for the Aggies. If they win, it goes like what?
If they win, it goes Zurich Phelps holds Bez Mbang down like Ivy League defenders haven't done all year. Not only that, but Nick Townsend at 6'7", matchup nightmare for most bigs. Anderson Garcia says, show me what you got. First team all defense SEC last year. I know what this takes. Oh, I'm going to get switched on to Solo Washington and get a mismatch. Nope. Show me what you got. I think defensively, that's where interior wise, Texas A&M finished second in the SEC in 2-point percentage defense. Now, why do I hesitate on really leaning into that? What was Auburn last year in 2-point percentage defense? Man, they were one of the best in the nation. And that didn't stop Yale. So honestly, there's a reason. What is the spread? 7.5, guys?
7 or 7. 7 or 7.5. It kind of varies from book to book.
There's a reason. Everyone knows Yale is capable, and a 2-3 possession spread indicates that as well. I don't think anyone out there is saying Yale doesn't have a shot here. I think leaning on defense, interior defense, and crushing the rebounding battle would be a way. But like you saw last year, Poulakidas can and might kind of be the great equalizer.
As for the total, which is, by the way, 139.5 or 140. Now A&M's been an under team all year, 19-13 overall. However, here lately, we've got a 5-1 run to the over for A&M. And let's see, we're talking about combined scores of 146, 170, 159. We've got 155, and let's see what it was in regulation against. So it was, let's see, 70.
Would you say a higher scoring game favors? Which way do you see the pace favoring?
I think it might favor Yale. What do you think? Yeah, Yale's played a lot of. So anyway, the combined score on Texas and Texas A&M in regulation was 146. Obviously, went way over that after 2 overtime sessions. But I would say Yale. there. So now Yale, they have had totals like basically, mostly in the 150s. Now, against some of the slower paced teams in the Ivy, they would have 140s, but I'm just scrolling down. I'm trying to find a total lower than 140. Okay, you got to go all the way back to December 7th, 134 against, I think that's Vermont, UVM. They had a 139 against Fairfield. That one went way over and actually had 157 combined. They had a 138.5 against Minnesota that went under, a 137.5. So what did I say? 4 totals. So this is their 5th lowest total of the season, which makes me lean. Well, we'll get to that. I'll save that for predictions. But anyway, they had one other total, 137.5, that went way over against UIC, the Flames. Anyhow, that had 170 combined. So there's just a few thoughts on the total.
All right, let's get the picks. Max, me, Brian, in that order.
All right, yeah. So like I was saying, if you are taking Yale here, you're getting no pushback from me. I just think this is Wade Taylor's last year. This is an old team. Senior, junior, senior, and then you got Farrell Payne as a junior. I'm going to go with A&M here, and what I think is going to be a game that I end with no nails left. Have gone through the whole pack of gum and maybe even started gnawing on the shirt because of how nervous I'm going to be during this game. Expecting a nail biter. Going to go Aggies.
Well, Max, maybe you should go shirtless for this one because I think you're going to be doing a lot of gnawing, and I don't want you to ruin your wardrobe. Look, I don't know what it is about A&M getting bad matchups in the tournament. It happened with Penn State a couple years ago. I like the team. I'm a little biased against teams that I don't trust to shoot in the tournament to begin with. Throw in a Yale team that can take away a lot of what they do on the boards. Throw in James Jones. Throw in a coach that's done it before. Give me Yale here.
And it's plus 260 money line if you like Yale. I even see one plus 270 out there. I am very, very tempted to go Yale here as well, but I'm not. I am going to do the same thing I did with Missouri and Drake. I'm going to call for A&M to win. However, I like Yale plus the 7 or 7.5. I also like the over. I'm going to go over 140. And but I think Texas A&M is going to be fortunate to get out of here unscathed, but it's survive and advance. Just win by 1 and you're moving on. And I think A&M will win a very, very close game.
All right, be sure and check out our sponsor, Bracket Bids, for a fun twist on the NCAA tournament. It is honestly a fascinating game, and they are a sponsor, but let me tell you, I'd be interested in what they're doing, even if they were not a sponsor. I think it's a great way to play along with the tournament, again, with some twists on it. Anyway, we're previewing every single SEC team in the NCAA tournament. To get that, hit the subscribe button, enable your notifications. For Brian Edwards and Max Barr, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.